The Rams did something they absolutely needed to do this offseason. They re-signed guard Kevin Dotson, and we're breaking it all down next here on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramley, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor and subscribe to the Locked On Rams YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, and drop your reactions to the Rams re-signing guard Kevin Dotson. My name is Doug McCain. Friends call me D-Mac. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade, the Dodgers for Dodgers Nation, as Side 24/7 Sports, the Rams for Locked On, and today I'm flying solo. The People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, he's out for the rest of the week, but on today's show, we got some big breaking news. The Rams have re-signed Kevin Dotson. We'll talk about the next move they could possibly make, but first, today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. So, breaking news, the Rams have re-signed Kevin Dotson. It's a 3-year deal. It's worth up to $48 million, and his contract has $32 million guaranteed. So, first things first, this was the move the Rams absolutely needed to make. You saw the continuity on the offensive line last season. You saw the Rams go to a gap scheme system where more physical, bigger, aggressive, nasty. Kevin Dotson was one of the biggest reasons why the Rams were able to have success last season in the run game with Tyron Williams and keep Matthew Stafford vertical. And he was a big reason why you saw a big turnaround with this O-line. And I thought it was absolutely paramount that they brought him back, and they did it early on. They did it days before the legal tampering period was over, so other teams couldn't get an opportunity to sign him. They lock him up, and it's a deal that was a fair deal. They didn't have to overpay for him. It was a fair amount, an average annual value of $16 million per year. That makes Dotson the 4th highest paid right guard in the NFL behind Chris Lindstrom and Brandon Sheriff. And the total value of $48 million also makes him the 4th highest paid right guard. So every listeners will know I said you would have to make him a top 3 highest paid guard if you wanted him back in the horns. The Rams, they made him a top 4 highest paid guard, and I think this is where he wanted to be. He saw the success he had. I think he likes the direction of this franchise, knowing that, hey, if everything breaks right, he could be on a team that could make a run at the Super Bowl. And also financially, that's a nice chunk of change for someone that was traded right before the season from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think financially it made all the sense in the world. And just kind of a little bit of a rewind, right when they made that trade, I said, when he gets his opportunity, he's not going to look back. He's going to take that position. He's going to run with it. That's exactly what Kevin Dotson did. He ends up going in there as the starter in Week 5 after Jackson was injured, and he steps right in at right guard, and he was absolutely outstanding. He started every single game for the rest of the year. He became one of the NFL's top guards almost instantly, and what did Kevin Dotson do? He put together a top 3 season for an interior lineman. If you look at his PFF grade, he finished the 11th highest grade of any lineman in the NFL and the 3rd highest for an interior lineman. So it was one of the Rams, if not their highest priority this offseason. They checked that off their list. If you look at their shopping list, he was right at the top. They brought him back. And a couple of things I really like about this move are, one, you're not overpaying to retain impact talent. You're not having to overpay. It's a fair amount. If you look at PFF, they said that they looked at him as someone who could have signed a 4-year, $69 million deal with $41.25 million guaranteed. That's a number that was thrown out. So if he enters free agency and there's a bidding war for teams vying for his services, he could have signed for more money. The Rams were able to get this deal done. I say maybe just a tiny bit of a hometown discount, knowing he's comfortable here. I'm sure the Rams did a great job selling this this organization, this franchise, and the direction of it, and how important he is to this franchise as really one of the big pillars moving forward of that offensive line. So I'm sure that was a big deal. And then two, you didn't let this drag out like we saw a few years ago in the Von Miller situation. You weren't able to bring back Von Miller. He ended up on the Buffalo Bills, and what that did is that really negatively impacted some of the team's expiring free agents that season. So really, you get this deal done early. You don't have to compete for his services with other teams, and you bring back someone that you already saw have a lot of success in this system. We've already seen just really a changing of the guard as far as the offensive line with Steve Avila last season, playing every snap. You see Rob Havenstein. Almost feel like Dotson almost re-energized Rob Havenstein a little bit. This offensive line is very familiar with each other at this point. I think they've seen the success they've had in the run game and keeping Matthew Stafford healthy, and they know as a unit that they can get the job done. This could be one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. If they add a premier left tackle, if they draft a left tackle that works out, they could take another step. We're going to talk about some names for that in just a little bit. So I love the move. It's a move that I planted my flag early on, saying they needed to bring back Kevin Dotson. I know, of course, it's an offensive lineman, so maybe some fans don't go too crazy for it. Not me. I'm doing cartwheels in front of SoFi Stadium right now if I'm a Rams fan, because if you did not bring back Kevin Dotson and he walks and this offensive line doesn't get the key pieces, one, Kyron Williams isn't going to have the same level of success. Two, Matthew Stafford is more at risk. We saw what happened a few seasons ago when you lost Stafford and the season was over. So I think the Rams, they realize that, look, some teams, maybe you don't need an offensive line. I think the Rams need a top 5 to 10 offensive line to have any chance of winning the Super Bowl. Les Snead and company, they realized that. They got the deal done for Kevin Dotson. So love the move. I give it a 10 out of 10 because, look, this is someone that you've already seen have success in your system. It's not like a note boom. That was a signing you're saying, okay, we'll give you some money for what you are going to do, right? This is a signing for it. We've seen you do it, and we think you're going to have success in the future. So it's a little bit of a trust factor there, and it's not like he's old. This guy's 27 years of age. It's not like you're paying him post-prime or anything like that. This is someone who I still think has a ton of gas left in the tank. I think he still has his best years in front of him. I still don't think he's even peaked. I think he's going to be even better in this system next year. Now, the question is, how will the rest of this offensive line pan out, and other reasons why I like this move? That's coming up next here on Locked On Rams. Passion, drive, patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, so I love to go to games, and I'll take a stab at it. I'm guessing you love to go to games, too. And if you're listening to the Locked On Rams podcast, you probably attend a lot of sporting events. And we know you're a Rams fan, so you like going to the NFL games. Maybe you're a basketball fan, you want to go see the Lakers or the Clippers. Maybe you're a baseball fan, you want to see Ohtani and the Dodgers. Well, the Gametime app needs to be on your phone because there's all sorts of stuff going on in your hometown. The NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball. There's always millions of things going on. Concerts, comedy shows, theaters, whatever it is, the Gametime app has you covered right up to the last minute, including even an hour before the game starts with killer deals, last-minute deals, all-in prices, and views from your seat, and of course, their best price guaranteed. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You don't have to stress about how you're going to do it. You've got it covered with the Gametime app. Take out the guesswork with the Gametime app. Create an account, download it on your phone, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDON for your first purchase. Terms apply. So here's how you do it. Again, create an account. You redeem the code Locked On. That's LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download that Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday, free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also want to send a special shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. We really, really appreciate it. If you have any friends that are Rams fans, definitely put them onto the pod. But you guys definitely keep this podcast running, and we cannot thank you enough. And also, if you have any questions for our mailbag episodes and want to be featured on an episode of Locked On Rams, drop your Rams mailbag questions down below. But here in our second segment, we're going to pick up where we left off on the Rams signing of Kevin Dotson. And like I was saying, look, a lot of times when you sign a big free agent, he's 28, 29, 30. Kevin Dotson is only 27. Offensive linemen, they can play long and be effective deep into their 30s. So really, I think right now you got some foundational pieces, right? You still have Havenstein back. You have Steve Avila, who's only going to get better. You have Kevin Dotson. We'll talk about Alaric Jackson here in a second. Do you bring back a Coleman Shelton as a center with some versatility, or do you look to go out there and sign someone else? Maybe a Cushenberry type, someone like that, or do you look to the draft to add some pieces? So it's going to be very interesting to see where the Rams go from here, but what they've shown us is they want a top 10 offensive line. They possibly want a top 5 offensive line. I think if you go out there and get an elite-ish left tackle, you could be talking about one of the best offensive lines in football. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good signing. It's less than market value. It is less than market value, and you can also go out there and look to address more needs at that left tackle spot through the draft. Do you consider drafting a Jordan Morgan out of Arizona, a Kingsley Sumatea out of BYU, a Patrick Paul out of Houston? Do you want to try to get that offensive lineman through the draft where, look, for as much as you like a prospect, for as much as you like someone who's going to come in and compete for a job and try to live up to his draft selection, look, it's an unproven commodity. Do the Rams have enough time with this core of Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, and Matthew Stafford, and dare I say Puka Nacua at this point, considering the year he had last season with some of this young talent that's emerged in Kyron Williams and Byron Young and Kobe Turner, some of these guys? Do you want to take advantage of this group and maybe go out there instead of drafting a left tackle, maybe go out there and you sign a proven veteran like a Tyron Smith, someone that is an all-pro, a Pro Bowl player, and he's still just 33 years old? Do you go out there and try to find your next Andrew Whitworth, who totally changed the complexion not only of this offensive line, but this entire franchise with what he brought to the table, not just on the field with performance, but also with intangibles? And he's someone that, look, I think could absolutely help this team in a big way. Could you expect the same performance that we've seen from him when he was at his peak with the Cowboys? That's a question I have, but still, I think that the offensive line has to be a top priority, along with edge, along with corner, but still, I think that the first big domino to fall today was them bringing back Kevin Dotson. Because Kevin Dotson, if he had walked, I would have really started to have some doubts for next season, because it could have crumbled. And we saw what happened just one play, 2 plays. If you lose Matthew Stafford, your season's over. There's nothing around that. Yes, I think you're going to get a better backup quarterback this season. You're not going to see the Brett Rippon in Green Bay nightmares anymore. But still, I think focusing on that, I love the plan that the Rams have had and how they've executed it so far. Now, the big question now is, what's next for the Rams in this offensive line? That's coming up next here on Locked On Rams. Okay, so now I want to talk about our friends over at Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on a 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at Robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. And welcome back to this emergency episode of Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday, free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also a reminder that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So let's continue to talk about this offensive line for the Rams heading into the 2024 season. You have Kevin Dotson back in the fold. You re-signed him. Havenstein's back. You have Steve Avila. You have to make a decision on Coleman Shelton. Maybe you restructure Joe Noteboom's deal or you release him. But the news today also with the offensive line, this is from Jeremy Fowler. He tweeted that the Rams plan to place a restricted tender on starting left tackle Alaric Jackson per sources, leading toward original round tender $3.116 million, not officially decided. Either way, he'll be under contract in LA in 2024. Jackson acquitted himself well in 15 starts last year. So Alaric Jackson, is he elite? No. Is he great? No. Is he pretty solid and dependable? And even if you were to go out there and bring in a Tyron Smith, could he provide depth at an affordable rate? The answer is absolutely yes. And he's definitely made a nice little career out of being an undrafted free agent. He started 15 games for the Rams this season. He gave up just one sack, had one holding call. But the question is, do the Rams think that he can be the left tackle that can protect Matthew Stafford's blind side next season and take this Rams offensive line to the next level? I think they're going to be opportunistic to see if they can upgrade at the position, but I also believe that if you have to go with Alaric Jackson, there's worst options on the planet, right? He can definitely give you something. And the big question now is, it doesn't guarantee he's going to be on the Rams in 2024 because it's an original round tender, right? We talked about a few weeks ago that maybe it was going to be a second round tender. First round tender would be too high. This one possibly could be too low. Maybe they'd meet in the middle with a second round tender. Well, hey, you look at the cost, that's going to be $3 million to keep him in the Horns if no other team goes out there and signs him. But the Rams, they can match any offer for him. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a market for him, if teams like what they see on tape with him and want to bring them into their organization, or does he provide depth for the Rams or act as their starter? I think both are possibilities. Preferably, look, you probably want to upgrade at that left tackle spot if you truly want to be elite. You bring in a Kevin Dotson, you re-sign him, you see the year that Avila had in his first season. So it makes you wonder if you're looking to upgrade at that position. But I do think that if the right player isn't available and you don't go out there and sign that left tackle, that Alaric Jackson is someone that can absolutely provide depth and start. So he does both things. And yeah, like I said, this is someone who went from an undrafted free agent. And we knew that he was one of the best undrafted free agents that was going to be available heading into the 2022 season. He ended up starting 6 games in 2022. Like I said a few minutes ago, 15 in 2023. I think there's a decent chance that he is going to get an opportunity if you don't go out there and sign left tackle to get that job. And look, I think that Tyron Smith, he's a franchise left tackle, right? Alaric Jackson isn't that. He's not a franchise left tackle, but he provides versatility on both sides. He provides depth. So, look, the way I look at it is this. Imagine go out there, you brought back Dotson, you go get a Danielle Hunter, you solve the edge rusher issue, someone to get to the quarterback. Yes, he's a little older than some of the other guys we've talked about on the show, the Josh Allen types, but he's definitely someone that would have a massive impact and provide a big boost to this Rams defense. Rarely do you see rookies that are going to provide an impact as an edge rusher. And then you bring on a Tyron Smith, then you got a Kevin Dotson. That tells you this team is all in, pushing the chips right back in the middle of that table to win another Super Bowl. And that's what it's all about. This is the thing about this Rams team is the only model of success here is Super Bowl championships. The only way to continue to win fans in this city, to continue to take eyeballs away from the Lakers, away from the Dodgers, away from the entertainment here in this city, is to not just get to the Super Bowl, but win the Super Bowl. And I want to see this Rams team get their third Super Bowl next season. And look, they did a big thing today. They brought back Dotson. And I think this offensive line, they have a chance to be special. So it's going to be really interesting. Who knows? Maybe they restructure things with Noteboom. I think that's possible too. That's kind of the message they've sent with him. But yeah, I think I would bring back Alaric Jackson 100%. Draft a left tackle like some of the names we talked about earlier. And they can either develop or you can sign your left tackle. But either way, I need a left tackle other than Alaric Jackson this offseason. I either drafted someone that you think could maybe be a franchise-ish left tackle, or you go out there and you bring one in. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.